Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and today I want to talk to you about triple PD or chronic dizziness recovery and traveling. So as some of you may know, I recently got back from Barcelona. I was there for 1 week and it was a really awesome experience. So I want to share it with you. So naturally I was pretty nervous about going because it had been literally 5 years since I had traveled last. And after that trip, after I landed back in the UK, I was experiencing some really interesting symptoms, horrible symptoms, like gagging and just anxiety, just feeling sick and kind of woozy after my last trip. And I think that was actually one of the stressful events that led to triple PD. It was like 8 months beforehand, so it can't really have been MDDS because it would have been triggered immediately. But yeah, so I did not have a great experience with flying last time. And interestingly, when I arrived at the airport, I started having that gag reflex feeling again, and I think it's because my brain obviously made some kind of association with an airport and that reflex. The brain is so freaking insane. So crazy, yet absolutely fascinating. And funnily enough, that symptom was also there in the airport in Barcelona coming back to England. But in the airport in Barcelona, when I was feeling that way, I really started to just change my mind chatter, because it was a physical feeling that was horrible. I felt sick, but I started to do some really deep parasympathetic breathing. I started to talk to myself, just tell myself that I was completely safe and that there was no need to react like that anymore. That's an old trigger. That's something I used to do. You don't have to do that now. And actually the symptoms stopped after about 10 minutes of doing that. So it's awesome that the brain actually listens to you. So you're probably watching this video wondering how I felt symptom-wise while I was in Spain. So let me tell you that. As I said before, I was a little bit nervous and obviously I felt sick at the airport, but in terms of dizziness, I didn't feel anything on the way there. It was a lot of traveling, obviously. When we landed, I was very tired, and at the end of the day when I was getting into bed, I did feel slight floating feeling. But I knew it would wear off by the next day because obviously I'd done a lot of traveling, but I think that was a quite natural response from my body, because of all the traveling and stuff. Even for people without chronic dizziness symptoms, they would kind of feel it from traveling. Your body does react like that. So I think that was a pretty normal response. And obviously because my brain is kind of programmed to do that with motion, that's why it happened a little. But by the next day, it was fine. I did have a few symptoms randomly. I think it was because of the heat, but I did have a few symptoms when I sat up from bed in the morning. Like, it just took a few seconds for me to feel normal, and then it went away. So most of the days I was walking like 15,000 steps a day, which is so much more than I was doing here. But I managed to do all of that, The main symptom I felt was a backache, not even dizziness. It was just like my back was killing me because I was not used to walking that much. So the symptoms really weren't there, like hardly. I can only think of certain times, like when I'm laying down at night, I felt slight floating, like really mild. It doesn't even bother me, I can still sleep and stuff. Walking around was sometimes a little bit more of a challenge because my eyes actually are getting a bit more blurry. My left eye is more blurry than my right, so I should probably wear my glasses, but I just don't want to. So I think that's making me feel a little bit weird as well because I can't quite see everything perfectly. So I think that was one of the reasons I maybe felt a little bit like, but it was absolutely fine. And I'm so happy I went. I'm so proud of myself. And it was just a great experience. And I feel like if you feel ready to do that, then just go for it. There's no worst case scenario here. That's all in your head. It's just the anxiety trying to keep you safe. And if symptoms happen, you can deal with them. Would you rather have symptoms in your bedroom or on an amazing beach in Spain? I know what I'd choose. Obviously, if you don't feel ready yet, that's totally fine because this has taken me 4 years of going through chronic dizziness to get to this point. It's actually 4 years, like almost to the day, since I got dizzy. So it's been a long journey for me. And so don't feel like if you're 6 months in, I really don't want you to try and force yourself to travel if you're not ready because it's so not necessary. This is just something I wanted to show you because it does get so much better. And I'm actually going to show you a few clips from Spain because I didn't film too much, but there was one day, like the second day, we spent so much money and we were going around on these like electric scooters and it was so much fun. hilarious. You know, they would go so fast, and it was just awesome because my back was killing me. So it was a great solution for that day. We hired them for like 3 hours, and after getting off them, I did still feel like I was slightly moving, but it was just like that for a second, and then my brain was like, oh yeah, we're on solid ground now, it's fine. So the least attention I paid the symptoms, they just faded away. And if you are in the space where you want to try and travel, here are my tips for you. Okay, so number one, definitely bring a hat if you're going to a hot country, because sometimes we can be very heat sensitive if we're just hypervigilant anyway. Also, obviously bring a bottle, a 2-litre bottle if you can, but 1.5 litres is fine. Just carry that with you to remind yourself to drink water, because it's really important, especially if you're going to a place where you might sweat a lot. Next, you might have this specific symptom that I had, where you feel like you need to eat, you know, you haven't eaten in a while. So just bring some fruit with you. Bring a banana or an apple wherever you go, so you can snack on that and feel safe if you have that feeling. Obviously, it was never anything to do with my blood sugar, but just having a snack made me feel like I was in control and I felt safe, and then the symptoms subsided. So bring a snack with you. Definitely utilize the parasympathetic breathing, because this helped me a lot during my journey. I did not have to use it in Spain. Sometimes I use it because it just feels really nice to relax, but definitely use this if you feel more tense about flying or just about traveling in general. And the most important thing for you to remember is that you're not going to make anything worse by traveling. It's not gonna ruin your progress if you feel a bit triggered one day. Our expectations are really important. And honestly, we can make it as crappy or as great as we want with our mindset. It's never gonna be as bad as you think, but you can ruin your time if you expect the worst. So I understand that you probably do expect some symptoms because you're so used to it, but usually it's better than we expect. You know, you're scared that you might pass out or fall over. Has that ever happened? No. So you don't have to be scared of these things anymore. They are there to keep you safe, these thoughts, but they're not based on reality or facts or anything. Yeah, the symptoms might get triggered one day a little bit, but if you utilize all of the techniques that you know, you can reduce them again. And if they get triggered, it does not mean that you've lost your progress or that you're going backwards or that you've ruined everything. It does not mean that at all. It just means that your brain has perceived some kind of danger, you've done a lot more movement than you're used to, or maybe you're just really anxious one day and the symptoms increase because of the threat response. But none of that means that you're ruining progress or that something is broken in your brain, because I promise you it is not. If you are still really anxious about symptoms, but kind of wanting to push your boundaries, wanting to try and travel, start small. There's no rules here. You don't have to get on a 6-hour flight to somewhere else. You can just stay in your city, go for a short day trip somewhere like the beach. Try that first. That would be amazing. If you can get to the beach and feel okay with your family and friends, then you can absolutely fly and travel to a beach as well. I really know how you feel if you feel anxious and sad that you're not traveling. It honestly was surreal to be able to travel again after so many years of just being completely housebound or city bound. You know, I felt like I couldn't go that far anywhere. I honestly didn't think I would ever be able to travel again when I got hit with triple PD. When I was kind of in the worst moments of it, I was just so depressed and hopeless, and it felt like I would never get better. I feel like I'm gonna cry. I'm getting emotional. It was just actually surreal to be able to travel again after so many years. And I totally understand you. You know, chronic dizziness takes over your entire life and it consumes your every thought, and it's just awful. And I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this, but I really hope that this video can give you some encouragement and hope, you know, and some resilience, because if I can go to Spain again, you can do anything. And I fully believe that. Like, I actually felt like I was beyond help. You can see my interview with the steady coach. She says that, yeah, I was like a high achiever with symptoms. I had like pretty much all symptoms you could possibly deal with. And I'm still better. So whatever you're dealing with right now, whether it's chronic dizziness, chronic pain, fatigue, depression, anxiety, just know that your brain is not stuck like this. It doesn't have to be this way forever. And there is so much you can do for your healing. It's also really important to not feel jealous of other people that can travel right now, like people without dizziness or without pain or illness or whatever. If you feel jealousy and hatred for other people doing what you want to do, then you are putting out that vibe into the universe and saying that that person is bad because they can do those things. It's kind of sending the wrong message. Do you want to be able to travel? Then you've got to start praising those who are able to do what you want to do. Look up to them, be inspired by them rather than hate on them. It's really important because I used to look at some people and be like, oh, you are so lucky that your only problem in life is that you hate your job. Swap with me and you'll see what a real problem is. But I really had to do some soul searching to get rid of that mindset because it was just hurting me. It wasn't helping anybody. I was feeling like crap, hating on people for no reason. It's not the way to go. It will just set your mind up negatively about traveling. Like you can't do it somehow. It's unattainable. You really want to make it attainable. You want to make it part of your reality. So praise those who are traveling. Start feeling happy and supportive of those who are able to do what you want to do. You know, if you have that positive outlook on life and on things, not even traveling, just anything you want to do, if you have the positive outlook that it's attainable for me, I can do this, then your brain will know that that's something you want and it will open up possibilities for you. So I'll leave you with this. I went to Spain for a week after 4 years of chronic dizziness, and I never thought I would ever be able to do that ever again. The most important thing I can tell you is this: you have to just try. You gotta try your best, and I mean your best. You know, you can't do it for a day and then complain that it's not working. And I did that a lot. Trust me, I was super guilty of that. But this is really important. You know, this is your life. You gotta go for it, because what's the alternative? If you don't try, you'll fail. And if you try, you won't fail. It's impossible to fail. But our minds trick us into thinking that if we try and fail, then that's it, we're doomed. So then we never actually allow ourselves to try 100%, so we have no option to fail. It's totally a survival mechanism. Your brain doesn't want you to get hurt, and that's exactly why symptoms happen. It's possible for you to do everything I'm doing and more. I just want you to believe that. I really want you to start believing that it's possible and try your best every single day. And if you need some extra one-to-one support, you know where to find me. I'm always available for anyone who wants help. So don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah, guys, I'll leave it there. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was encouraging for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.